Hello and welcome to the Rob Burgess Show. I'm of course your host, Rob Burgess. On this, our 281st episode, our returning guest is Jonathan Fowler. Jonathan is the all-time most frequent guest of the Rob Burgess Show. For a complete list, check the show notes. Jonathan graduated with a BA in History from Indiana University in 2006. He is an unabashed left-wing political junkie. He has lived and worked in South Korea for over a decade, trying to help the citizens of that great nation, hopefully, talk pretty one day. A quick programming note. In this episode, Jonathan and I reference Michael Wolff's 2018 book, Fire and Fury Inside the Trump White House. We broke down large sections of that book in episodes 102, 103, 104, 105, and 107. And now, on to the show.
Doing okay over here. Yeah, I've got a 5-day holiday in Korea right now, so I'm on my second to last day of that. So the worry is starting to set in.
It's that Sunday scaries, but on steroids because it's the end of the break.
Well, but it's Saturday here. But yeah, so I've got today and I've got tomorrow remaining.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So yeah, lots to talk about. I guess I know we've been trying to put this together for like a month or something. I feel like there's a million scandals and things to talk about, I guess.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, let's get right into it because I have listened to Hunter Biden talk for nearly 4 hours today. So
yeah, it turns out he seems like a pretty chill dude. I mean, like I don't know,
right?
I mean, again, this is. Yeah, I gotta say, like, I mean, okay, so you watched, let's see, who's the guy? Is it Callahan or somebody? What's the guy's name who's interviewing him?
Andrew Callahan, previously of All Gas, No Brakes, previously of This Place Rules on HBO. I haven't seen that documentary, but he has a show called Channel 5. He goes to places and does like man on the street interviews a lot of the times. He's got like a series where he goes to kind of the inner cities of various places and like open air drug market. Anyhow, he's also, side note, been credibly accused of possible sexual harassment by multiple women.
Bob, yeah. that doesn't matter anymore.
Right, I know, exactly. He's already got enough of an audience. He can't be canceled, and yeah, exactly. So.
What is this? The Biden administration? Come on.
Yeah, right, exactly. No, I mean, well, but to the substance of, because he's a good interviewer. He doesn't talk over him. He lets him kind of explain himself. And like you said, Hunter Biden, I was kind of shocked that he was such a thoughtful, erudite, sensitive person. I felt like he had a very incisive analysis of the political climate and the causes behind that. And, I mean, we can talk about a lot of things he went into, but yeah, I was actually very impressed only because I've never heard him talk that long before.
Yeah,
ever.
at length.
So.
Yeah, I mean, he comes across as a pretty normal dude. I mean, I think he's got some blind spots, and I think there are some areas that would be nice to see a little bit more pushback on him. But he definitely. I don't know. I don't know. I thought he definitely has some blind spots when it comes to his dad, right? Like he thinks his dad is a saint who,
yes.
And I guess, they just have that kind of relationship, which, good for them or whatever. But I do wish, like, I would like to see like a little bit more, for normal people out there, we don't all have the same view on your dad that you do. And, maybe nobody's got the perfect view, but it's like, I don't know. I think we would like to see a little bit more of an engagement with, like, okay, your dad is a political actor that we've all been familiar with for many decades, and these like, I don't know. I think with the Israel-Gaza stuff, I thought he was a little bit more. It was interesting to hear some of the things. At first, I felt like there was a little bit of that. Well, they wanted to do the what was the protest and the no vote, the withholding their vote thing.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what that was called. Uncommitted, right? Like
yes.
he took a shot at the uncommitted. He's like, well, look at them now, ha ha ha. Look what Trump is doing over there. It's like, Okay, but there really was no. I mean, there was no good option, and you can't pretend that your dad was giving a good option in that situation, right? Like, I mean, I don't know.
Hmm.
I mean, and I think that's another thing we ought to talk about too. I mean, have you had any? It seems like a lot of the mainstream is finally coming around on this thing that, like, oh my God, it looks like a genocide. It looks like they're just starving children intentionally. Oh my God,
Yeah,
who could
it's
have
been
possibly seen
interesting to
this coming?
see Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene
Marjorie Taylor Greene
come
has been
around.
yeah, she has been an absolute scumbag of a politician for as long as I've known her. And on this issue, I'm like, get it, girl. Yeah, I mean, like, come on, this is, yeah. I mean, hey, I know you're kind of an anti-Semite, but like, do we have to say any
Well,
portness when there's an
I
ongoing genocide? Do we have to? I don't know.
exactly. Well, I mean, I think that just kind of speaks to how permeated the issue and the reality of kind of the crisis is becoming, right? Because like even if even it can even get through their thick heads, like
Yeah, this is, I mean, there's this thing in MAGA where there was this idea that there was no more wars. He was going to be the anti-war
oh
candidate.
gosh.
And I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of people are like, they want that to be for Ukraine as well as Israel. The I guess the good point is that some of them actually seem to have sort of meant it. So
Hmm.
I don't know. That's a little bit surprising, but yeah. I mean, well, anyways, okay. Well, let's get to that a little bit later. But yeah, I mean, as far as yeah, the Hunter Biden. I mean, and you watched the follow up interviews where he's now being sued by Melania Trump, right?
I have
Or
not totally caught up. I know there is two other interviews. I was in the middle of watching the second one when we started talking, where he is in his home painting, and he's a good painter from what I can tell. He seems like he's got an interesting style. Um, but I know there's another one after that because Melania Trump threatened to sue him and Hunter Biden and Andrew Callahan for like $1 billion because he's
a bill
Hunter, yeah,
a
1 billion,
billion dollars.
one
Yes.
billion exactly.
Yeah, just like
Uh, yeah, Doctor Evil. But yeah, no, I saw that they had another video after that responding to that because he apparently said during the second interview that Epstein introduced Melania to Trump. So, and I honestly don't know if that's true or not, but he said it, and
well,
yeah. Anyway,
you got to watch the follow up video to that because he does, like, Hunter apologizes to Melania Trump is the title of the video, I think, and
mm-hmm.
it's like he doesn't. He basically says that Michael Wolff was the one who made the claim, and he was just quoting what Michael Wolff said. And then the Callahan guy goes and talks to Michael Wolff, and Michael Wolff does his smarmy. I think Michael Wolff is a complete scumbag, and I can
He's the
talk about
worst.
that.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean, like,
remember when we tried to read his first book about the what was the Fire and Fury? Was that it?
I don't know. Did I? I'm
Something.
trying to remember if I read that. I
You
read some
read
of
we
those.
read at least half of that book or something. He's
Okay.
not a good journalist. Like he's very bad at it. He sells a lot of books. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
But he's
My thing right now
not
is
trustworthy.
okay, well, like, I don't trust anybody who is doing the kind of the access journalism thing or something. They're around Trump. They're around the Trumps, and they're like, oh yeah, Trump's a terrible president, I think. And I'm like, okay, that's good. Okay, sure. And they're like, but do I think he molested children? No, I don't think that's in him. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. What do you want to, like, Mike, what's his name? The lawyer, Mea Culpa podcast. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't know that
Uh,
one.
Trump's former lawyer who went to jail.
Michael Cohen.
Yeah, yeah, Michael Cohen. Like, he's the same way. He's like, oh, I hate Trump. He's the stupidest man in the world, and da 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 da. He's very corrupt. Oh my God, yada yada yada. But then Tara Palmieri did an interview with him recently where she was very clearly trying to get him to say that he had been one of the people he'd been the fixer, of course, at that
Yes,
time,
right.
and that he had been involved in silencing the 13-year-old girl who accused Trump of, or the
Yeah.
woman who accused Trump of raping her when she was 13 with the
Yes.
Epstein situation.
Right.
And Cohen is just like, oh no, that's ridiculous. I don't think, and I wasn't even there, and I wasn't involved, and I never ever talked about Jeffrey Epstein. And I'm like, you were his fixer, admittedly. And he's like, and there was one woman that we investigated somebody because there had been accusations made that were not good, but I don't remember what her name was. And what it was I had contacted the lawyers who were representing her, and I asked them, like, because I had hired a private investigator to go to the address that was supposed to be at her house to figure out who it was, and the address was just an empty lot. And I went to the lawyer and I said, "Hey, the person doesn't live where you said that they live, and so is this person even exist?" And the guy said, "Well, yeah, I think she exists." And he's like, "Well, then did you meet her?" And he's like, "No, I actually never met her." And he's like, "Well, then this is a bullshit lawsuit, and aren't you ashamed? And how can you even bring this lawsuit if you haven't ever met your client? That's against, the some sort of thing." And the guy's like, "You're right, Michael Cohen, I'm sorry," and I withdrew the lawsuit. And Tara Palmieri's like trying to figure out, like, well, wait, which girl was that? Was that this girl then that was? He's like, I don't know who it was. I don't think she ever existed. It's ridiculous. She never existed. Da 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 da. Da. So he is obviously culpable in the situation where he was, involved with silencing this woman probably, and he knows that that's not a good look at this point, right? To have been silencing child victims of Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump, and so for his own personal reasons, I think he is. Um, saying that, oh no, that never happened, and Trump would never do that, and da 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 da. So there is this type of people who are close to Donald Trump, and they, or even like what's his name, Keith Olbermann, with his thing where he's like, I used to live in the Trump Tower back when it was normal and not so bad, and da 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 da. It's like, okay, you're tied to the guy. You've been tied to the guy for decades, and it's like you hate him now. We all do, correctly, but it's, you. I don't know. These people, they kind of get themselves hamstrung in a situation where they're not able to criticize certain things. It seems like,
Right.
yeah. Michael Hope, I think, like, the thing is, okay, you're sitting on what, like 80 hours or something of interviews with Jeffrey Epstein, and we have a situation where this issue is going to tear this country apart and become like a Kennedy assassination level conspiracy theory for the next century probably, and you're sitting on 80 hours of interviews with the guy and you won't release them. What do you wait? He's saying,
waiting to sell a book, obviously, right?
yeah, like him making a few $100,000 more dollars is more important than Americans getting some fucking answers about whether their president is a child molester.
Right.
Like, it's all about Michael Wolff, right?
Yeah.
So
no, I agree.
Same thing with Steve Bannon. Of course, not that we should expect any good behavior from Steve
I
Bannon.
was just about to say, do we ever hold him to any account?
Well, yeah, Steve Bannon also had apparently interviewed extensively this guy. So,
really? Wait, who? Epstein?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, apparently he was involved with interviewing Epstein as well.
Amazing.
So, yeah, so there are people who are MAGA world or MAGA adjacent who are sitting on the information that everybody would like to know. Of course, in the meantime, we've got the MAGA, the I don't know what the maggots or whatever you want to call them, who are like, oh, it's definitely, Bill Clinton was definitely fucking children on the island. That's all we know. We don't really know anything, but like we definitely know that Bill Clinton is guilty, right? In the meantime, we've got MAGA adjacent people like this sitting on hundreds of hours of information and not releasing it. And these people don't even really seem to be aware of it. They're like,
right.
I don't know, release the documents or something like from the White House, which, whatever. I don't know. It's maddening, of course. In the meantime, we're getting ready to pardon what's her name? Not Melania. Ghislaine. Or,
oh my gosh!
I don't know how to pronounce her name. I always just pronounce it.
Ghislaine. I don't know.
I've always called it Ghislaine. I don't know. Maybe some people don't like it. I don't speak French, so
right, exactly. I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's all. Yeah, I don't. I did agree with what I heard Hunter Biden say, in that this is not going away, and he's not been able to. This is the one thing that Trump doesn't seem to be able to distract his base from with another stunt, and not for any sustained period of time. And the problem is that once again, it's the dog that caught the car, who primed these people to, be obsessed with this type of thing? Well, of course it's you and your allies, and now it's turning on you because you're involved too, obviously, of course, and always has been. But it's like now that's like you've set these people up to care about this shadowy conspiracy that is true. It happened. It's true. We know from what the public reporting that this is a real thing that happened, and that real connected people of both parties are involved, including him, and it's not going away. And he set himself up for this, and now he's trying to say, oh, it's just Republicans falling for Democratic talking points. This is all, this is all just their, by the left, crazy, what this will and the laptop, and it's like, no, it's not. This is there's too much there, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's yeah, it is. There's something not right about it, and the frustrating thing is there are people we can get the information from, right?
It exists.
Uh, the information is out there. There are people who know exactly what happened. There are people who have evidence that they're not releasing for private, personal reasons, and at the same time, we're supposed to pretend that like the only way we can possibly do this is to talk to Ghislaine Maxwell,
right,
and give her a pardon. The only
yeah.
person who was ever convicted. And I know, the woke centrists will be like, oh my God, hundreds of men were molesting young girls, and the only person who goes to jail is this woman. It's not fair. Like she was nasty too. Come on, let's keep it real. But at the same time, yes, like let's put some more people in jail. Let's get anybody involved in it, anybody who did anything. But I think I think there would have to be a level of what can we say, like a common understanding between MAGA extremists and everybody else in the country. Okay, here's the things we're going to do. Number one, anybody can go to jail, Democratic or Republican. Nobody gets a special exemption. Number two, the statute of limitations doesn't matter anymore. This stuff was happening in the 90s, the 2000s. It doesn't matter. We need to go back. Number three, the victims and accusers have to be protected by everybody. You can't say, oh, you're accusing Trump, we're going to assassinate you, and make death threats. There needs to be a strong commitment by all MAGA and everybody else that, okay, the victims are going to be protected. There's, however that's going to be done. Number three, anybody who was on the airplane doesn't mean they were guilty. You have to be realistic. We have to separate, some people flew on the airplane here or there. Some people were friends with them in there.
I'd say everyone who's guilty flew on the airplane, but not everybody who flew on the airplane is guilty, if that makes sense.
Well, I'm not sure even that everybody. Wait, say the first part again.
Every high-profile person who was guilty was on the airplane, but not everybody who was on the airplane was necessarily guilty of something.
Well, I'm not sure that everybody who flew on the airplane.
Okay, well, maybe not every single person, but I'm saying like there's a crossover in that Venn diagram, right?
Well, the thing is, he has multiple locations, right?
Yes.
And like some of the locations were like he had a ranch out in like, I don't know, New Mexico or Texas or somewhere. I forget exactly where it was. Like a person could have visited that ranch and never have been on his airplane. So it's not even about the airplane, really. The airplane is, related, but not, determinative or whatever. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I think, but again, there's these agreements would have to be made that like, look, we're going to prosecute people. Statute of limitations doesn't matter. Protect the accusers no matter who they are or what they say. They don't get death threats, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if they do get death threats, then there's a coalition of MAGA plus normies who are protecting them. Because it's in everybody's interest to get to the bottom of this, and we can't get to the bottom of this as long as the victims are scared to talk. So Yeah, I think I don't know. I forget if there was another thing I was going to add there, but like I think those are some pretty basic ground rules that everybody could theoretically most people should be able to get behind, I think. So,
Hmm.
but and the thing is, if we do that, then we don't have to rely on what's her name, Ghislaine Maxwell. We can say, okay, we're gonna go with the victims. What do the victims say happened? Okay, the victims accuse this person. Can this person? Is there any evidence that what the victims are saying is not true? And I'm not saying believe all victims 100%. I'm trust but verify or whatever. But like, I think a great starting point for what the hell happened was what do the victims say happened, right? Like that's got to be the starting point.
Right.
And this idea that Ghislaine Maxwell can be, even if Trump, 4 years later, Trump's out of power, and we talk, and Democratic prosecutors go to Ghislaine, they say, "Hey, what's the story here? Did Trump really do that shit?" And she's like, "Yes, yes, he was terrible." Like even in that case, as much as manna as that might be to my ears, like we really can't believe anything that this woman says because she's so nakedly going for a pardon or going for
Hmm.
a commutation that it's really she's just going to say whoever's in power wants her to say, right? Or whatever the
Right.
powerful people is not going to be pissed off by.
Sure.
So nobody should be like no, we no, sorry, I can't fucking talk. Nobody should be going based on what she's saying, especially alone, or at the very most trust but verify, right? Like, okay, what did you say? You say Trump didn't do it. Okay, what about all the stuff where he's like being a creep and being like, talking about 15-year-olds in the dressing room and so on and so forth?
Yeah.
Like, that's just weird. Or like he's talking about, what's going on with the birthday letter, which apparently Trump people think that she released. Trump
Hmm.
people think that Ghislaine Maxwell started this whole thing by releasing the Trump birthday drawing or whatever for, the very unique enigma who never ages or something, Jeffrey Epstein. So there was that whole thing, which it's incredible he's guilty. And the same thing when that thing was released, you had the same people, Michael Cohen and people like that, talking about, well, he doesn't use that word enigma, and he has used the word enigma. They released, and then he doesn't draw pictures, and they released several pictures that he had drawn poorly. And it's just like, again, you guys are making excuses for somebody you ostensibly don't like uh, for some reason. I don't know why. You know,
Hmm. Right.
you want to you want to damn him on everything else, but on this one issue, you think, oh no, he's of course Trump is innocent there. Like so, I don't know. Yeah, thoughts on the situation with the Maxwell
I don't.
Epstein
Yeah, I don't
Trumpstein.
think. I don't. I don't think we need to solely rely on her, and she has every, like you said, every reason in the world to implicate everyone except the person that could give her a pardon. So, I mean, that's clearly the quid pro quo that weren't they meeting for like 2 or 3 days with her, like, with
Yeah,
Trump's former lawyer or whatever. So, yeah.
yeah, which is also got a lot of problems. A lot of people say, like, why in the world he's like the head of the FBI or something, right?
Yep.
Or head of the Justice Department or something. I
Justice
forget.
Department. I no, the head of the FBI is Dan Bongino.
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, this person at the top of an entire, organization, he's head of the Justice Department, right? Is that's the correct?
Let's look. Yeah, let's go there now.
I do think, I mean, but the point is like there are no other cases in history, I don't think, of the head of the entire department going and personally doing an interview with a convicted, felon in this level. Um, I don't think that there's any other case in history of something like that happening. And especially an organization that should be interested in getting to the truth, but it's very clear in this case they're not interested in getting to the truth. They're interested in exonerating their boss, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the only reason they would be, personally going to this woman and saying, "Hey, we're gonna make a deal with you. Tell us Trump's innocent, and we'll, make things a lot better and easier for you."
Yeah, top
Um,
top DOJ official
Number one,
Todd
like
Todd
the whole
Blanche.
thing with if it was the justice. Yeah. Okay. So DOJ, and of course, one of the major criticisms of the whole Biden thing was oh, Biden's using a politicized DOJ to go after Trump and all his people, which never happened. And, you
Hmm.
know, we had people like, what's his name? Merrick Garland, and people who opted to be nonpartisan and to let criminals get away because they were Republicans, is essentially what they did. Um, but now, you know, Trump, of course, rides that back to the presidency, that the DOJ has been politicized. And then what does he do? He has a top DOJ official going and making offers on his behalf personally to keep his name out of her mouth, basically. I mean, it's insane levels of you know, corruption, abuse of power, you know, whatever you want to say about the justice, you know, I don't
Hmm.
know what the word would be, you know, a betrayal of justice, a destruction of justice, or something. A very clear thing that, you know, you can commit some of the worst crimes known to man, but we will make a deal with you if the Justice Department, which is working on behalf of a man who was intimately involved in this whole scenario, can get you to lie potentially and say his boss never had anything to do with it. Like, I mean, just the levels of insane corruption there are, you know, should be mind blowing for almost anybody.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, back to the Hunter Biden interviews. Any other insights that you that you gleaned from those?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm curious to see like I think the conventional wisdom in Washington for a while there after he decided to drop out, or around the time he was deciding to drop out, was that Hunter Biden and his mother-in-law or whatever, his stepmother, Jill, were the ones who were keeping Biden in. They were telling him, no, no, stay
Hmm.
in, and that they were keeping him in because they felt like if Trump came back in, or if anybody else came back in, then Hunter would be prosecuted or Hunter would be investigated further, right?
Hmm.
So I think that would be an interesting question. Like, did you have what was your, you know, he says, of course, that he was barely in the White House. He said he was only in the White House a couple of times or whatever. So I'm curious to have that, you know, described or litigated a little bit more. Like, were you involved in the discussions about, you know, Kamala coming in, or, you know, your father stepping down or whatever? Like, what were your thoughts during that period? Of course, you know, I think he thinks his dad was always with it, never had any problems, and was
Hmm.
totally qualified and everything, which I don't know. Again, I think there's a lot of stuff that he said that can be excused as, okay, this is, he's in the family, he loves his
Hmm.
father, and he's going to make some excuses for his father. The good thing about good journalism is I think you can interview a person like that who has this bias, and you can say, okay, he has this bias, obviously, and we know about that. But, you know, on other issues, he may or may not, he may be more credible. But on this issue, this was his perspective, rightly or wrongly, and this is what he says. And but, you know, knowing that bias and knowing that that's where he's coming from, we can kind of factor that into what everything he's saying. So
Yeah, well, I that is the one part of that first 3 hour plus interview that I didn't couldn't really go there with him because he was very obviously defensive of his father and his competency in that. And he didn't ever address the idea, which I know we've talked about before, that, maybe he didn't come out right out and say it, but definitely the idea was heavily put out there that, if Joe Biden wins in 2020, he will be a one-term president by choice. He will clear the
mhm.
way. We're just trying to get over
He's a
this Trump.
transitional
He's
leader.
a transitional leader. He is not, he's clearly going to be too old by the time, the next 4 years runs around. So it's like, let's set the Democratic Party up for success. That was not ever, I believe, explicitly said, but I do think it was heavily implied by his campaign, and would have frankly been the right choice in my view. Of course, hindsight being 2020, but if he was going to drop out, that would have been the more opportune way to do it than this long dragged out. Like, if he was going to drag it out that long, he honestly, maybe he should have just stayed in. You know what I mean? Like, if it's like, if you wait that long, it's sort of too late. And it really should have happened, maybe not the month after he got, his inaugurated, but, like, not too long after, and giving giving the other successor the time to naturally be found out. And if that person was Kamala Harris, I don't think it would have been in that scenario
Yeah.
if it had been left to an actual primary system and a convention that actually mattered. I don't know that she would have come out on top. But, maybe, and she could have thrown her hat in the ring, and other people obviously would have too, and that at least would have exercised possibly some of the you know, who knows? I mean, you'll never know how it would have gone the other way, but you know what I mean? It's like it couldn't have gone worse. So, well,
Yeah.
maybe it could have gone better if something else would have happened. I don't know. What do you think?
I think the mainstream Democratic Party was, they were anathema to the idea of them not basically having control over who the nominee was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they were going to, they didn't want to see a Bernie. They didn't want to see an AOC in there. They didn't want to see anybody
Yeah,
like that. They wanted
exactly.
a Pritzker or somebody, I don't know who, but they wanted one of those kinds of people. And the idea that they were going to surrender the nomination process or something is not realistic, I think, for them. I think things could have gone worse. And a lot of people make a lot of excuses for Kamala Harris, and she only had 100 days or whatever she had. Um, I do think that there's a possibility that she actually benefited from the way things had gone, though, because um, to some degree, she's a person who she is a mainstream Democrat, and we were all coconut pilled there for a few months or whatever. But I do think that there's a world in which, over a longer, more traditional, campaigning period, she grates on the nerves a little bit more at a certain point, or she has more opportunity to say the wrong thing at certain times, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I do worry that I we can say she got kind of screwed over because she didn't get the full time to campaign, but I think that's a double edged sword. We got the initial excitement.
You can't prove a negative, right? We'll never get to do the counterfactual on stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, I do feel like it. What did you think of his comments about Jake Tapper and his book and all this? Like, how do you feel like he's obviously defensive of his father and did play a role in keeping him in as long as he did, but like, do you think it's like what Jake Tapper is saying about Hunter Biden is unfair?
Um, well, let me think. To be fair to myself, I haven't seen this interview for probably like a month or something,
Ah,
I guess.
okay,
I saw it when it first came out, and since then I have seen his thing on the Epstein thing as well,
right,
and his quote unquote
yeah.
apology to Melania, which
Well,
was
I
not an
just I
apology.
just mean that like Jake Tapper. I haven't read this book, but Jake Tapper has a book about Joe Biden's later real presidency and the decision whether or not to drop out and stuff. And he basically says that Hunter was the like driving force behind him, like trying to like stay in, and he was like some sort of shadow president or
Kind of
something.
a Machiavellian.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'd like to see I'd like to see the sourcing on that, I
Yeah.
guess,
I
to
don't
see,
know. I
I mean,
hadn't.
he can say that, and that could be a scandalous thing. And based on my priors about who I like and who I don't like, I may or may not believe it. But okay, what's the sourcing? You
Yeah.
know,
I don't know.
and I think that success has a thousand fathers, and failure is a bastard. So there's a lot of Democrats trying to wipe their hands of the Biden, failure to be reelected and to whatever. So I do
Yeah.
think that there's probably a lot of people in the White House who'd like to say, no, it wasn't my fault. We were doing great, but there, somebody else was in there, and he was in people's ear, and he was convincing them, and he had his own motivations selfishly. So I don't know, I don't know. I do think Jake Tapper is generally a scumbag. So
What are you basing on that on? Like more generally, is there like incidents that put you off of him?
well, I'm trying to remember everything. I mean, well, like for one, apparently back during the Lewinsky scandal, he went on a date with Monica Lewinsky, right?
Yes, you're right. Very true.
And then I think he wrote an article about it or something. My
Yep.
date with Monica Lewinsky or some
Yep.
bullshit. He wasn't trying to be there for this woman at that time or anything. He was, whatever. Um,
Good point.
I think he's been wrong on a lot of issues. I think he's a pretty hardcore Zionist. in the, in the most maximalist version of that term, I think. I don't know. I'm trying to remember everything over the years. At different times I felt differently about him, but I think my conclusion over the past 5 or so years is that, yeah, he's just kind of a scumbag.
What else? What else is going on in the world? We don't have to keep talking about Hunter Biden.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know. I was thinking about more things about that, but
Oh yeah, go
yeah.
ahead. No, no. What else did you have?
Well, just, I mean, the thing with the art, like, I mean, yeah, the art was, it looks like it's something that he's really authentically doing. It doesn't look like it started out as a way for him to make money.
Hmm.
If he does want to sell his art and people want to give him money, I do think he shouldn't be too naive about the fact that, some of the interest in these things is because he is the son of this figure, right? So,
Yes.
but like,
And
but
it's
like
not
the
it's
main,
not unheard of for other people who were not Hunter Biden to also launder money in various ways using the purchase of art. I mean, that's certainly a thing in international, conspiracies to like launder money, right? I mean, that's who's to say what a banana taped to the wall is really worth, right?
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, but the thing is, I do think I do buy his idea that like money laundering money to whom? Like, I mean, to his the implication is always that it's going to his father, the big man, right? As they say in the conspiracy theory or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't see much evidence for that, right? It's
No.
like, yeah, I mean, I don't see any evidence that money
No,
is going to the father. Or,
I'm not saying in his case it's necessarily happening. I'm saying in the world I think it does happen that
yeah, yeah.
art is used to launder nefarious monies.
Okay, sure, yeah. Yeah, I think, but yeah, I think like, I mean, to some degree, I think Hunter Biden is a little bit of a spoiled, kid of a person who may have some blind spots regarding that, but is no more or less corrupt than most anybody else in politics who happens to be related to somebody. So,
Yeah, exactly. No,
yeah,
that's I was just reading his Wikipedia page, which is where I get all my information from. And yeah, it seems like there was a lot of, rubbing shoulders and kind of general political palm greasing, nothing out of the ordinary, you know what I mean? I'm sure if you look deeply enough into most people that have been in Washington for 50 years, them and their children probably would have, what I mean, become lobbyists, or they would have, benefited from legislation that their family member was pushing, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure that happens. But not nothing. But as to Hunter's point, nothing like what we see with the Trump, meme coin social club, you know what I mean, sneakers, watches, you know what I mean, out in the open, like just open air corruption, that's going on there.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Yeah, it's been a nonstop money grab with the Trumps as far as,
yes,
everybody in their family trying to make as much money as quickly as they can while they're in power. It's
yeah,
shameless. In fact, I've got a student over here who I had taught like 5 years ago, and I don't want to like give away any identifiable information or anything, but like this kid was like, he was kind of annoying to the other kids in the class sometime, or the other people in the class. He's big on crypto. He loves, all the tech bros. He's, Trump curious to Trump adjacent and stuff and all this kind of stuff. And, he's kind of in that mind space. But and I was always telling him, no, no, Trump's crazy. You're crazy. No, no, Trump's stupid. Don't, no, he's a liar. He's lying about this. He's lying about that and everything. And anyways, after a while, he took a break and he was gone for a while and stuff because I think he'd had some interpersonal conflict with some other students in the class, for unrelated, somewhat unrelated reasons. But anyways, he came back. I hadn't seen him since like 2019 or 2020, I don't think, but he came back a few months ago to my class, and I said, "Oh, hey, what's been going on with you?" He's like, "Well, I went bankrupt." I'm like, "What? What? Like, you're a young guy. You're in your 20s or 30s. You live with your mom, as far as I know. Like, what do you mean you went bankrupt and stuff?" And he's like, "Well, I went all in on the Trump coin and I went bankrupt." I'm like,
no,
so like I've
oh
got
no,
yeah, and I'm like, dude, I don't want to be like the "I told you so" guy, but I've been telling
wow,
you since like 2019, Trump is a scam artist. He's a liar. He's
holy
all this kind of
moly,
stuff. So it's just like, but like I'm seeing it even all the way over here in South Korea. I see people getting taken in, and they think like, oh, he's doing something different. Oh, this is interesting. He's what a charming guy. Da 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 da. It's like, yeah, this is where it ends, homie. It's like,
Oh
yeah,
man.
I drink your milkshake. How about that? It's just like,
Oh no. Oh my
so
gosh.
yeah, like yeah. So
Wow.
I mean there is, if we want to talk about, again, I think, Hunter is right to point out that, yeah, if you want to talk about people taking advantage of the presidency to make money, there's a lot there. Um, I don't know. I think it's interesting. He also says that he's totally qualified to be on the board of the Burisma or whatever it was, because he's been on multiple boards. It's like, yes, okay, but also like, yeah, and at the same time, it's like, okay, if people were, he did get the position because of who his father was, but it's like, if people were trying to get some advantage from that by hiring the son of the president, it doesn't seem that they did, right? It's like,
Right.
and also there was the big thing about his father pushed people to prosecute a corrupt public prosecutor in the country, and he was removed and stuff, and um, the idea that that was all being done for his son, which is incorrect. Apparently, that guy had, uh, I think he had declined to prosecute Burisma over some issue or something, right? So, like, if anything, that guy should have been protected by Joe Biden, not removed from his position, because he was protecting Burisma from potential corruption charges or whatever they were going to be prosecuted from. So, it's, again, there's a million conspiracy theories on the right. They're all half baked, and they all get crucial information critically wrong.
Hmm.
And if you want to say that Hunter Biden benefited from his position of who his father was, that's fine, and make an argument, but don't make a bullshit argument, right? So
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is, it's the double-edged sword of it because, you know, Trump was using his Burisma thing and involvement there as leverage. What that was what the whole first impeachment was about, remember?
mhm.
It was them trying to get the Ukrainian, to launch the investigation and and we're going to withhold the funds unless do that. And if you're, but there was something there, like he was a liability for his father because of that. And it would be naive to deny that, he could have gotten a job that wouldn't have been such a political hot potato for his father. Like he could
Yeah,
have just been a rich lawyer and called it that, like in America, like he didn't have to do all that. And maybe he shouldn't have, given the geopolitical implications, right? Um, I don't know.
yeah,
Not that Trump was right to do that mob boss, cheap shakedown move, but like there was something there to leverage, basically.
yeah. I think there's something. Yeah, it's sorry, I've lost my I've lost my thought, but yeah, I think there is. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what he could have. I don't know what he could have done to have. I Sorry, I'm losing my thoughts on Hunter Biden, but yeah, I don't know what he could have done to not have taken advantage of his position or something. Maybe there's not a lot he could have done,
Yeah,
but
maybe I'm just jealous because I don't have any kind of like connections like that in my family. Who knows what I would take advantage of if I had, yeah, the means, motive, and opportunity, right?
yeah.
No one's
Well,
ever offered me to be on Burisma's board. Come on.
yeah. Well, the thing is, I'm trying to remember, when was he on Burisma's board, right?
Oh
Like,
boy.
when was that? When was
Um,
that? Because if it was, well, I suppose you could say if it was any time post 2014, then it becomes political, because that's when
yeah.
the Putins are invading and stuff. But but I think there's a difference between, I don't know. Trump was involved in certain things at a certain point with him and got himself impeached over it. So if it
Yeah.
was before that time period, I think it's hard to make the argument that it was a political move to be involved in Ukraine, right?
Sure.
Necessarily. So, but again, we'd have to consult the timeline, I guess. But yeah. Anyways, I just he came across as a pretty normal, chill dude, a person you could have a reasonable conversation with. Anybody could. and somebody who doesn't take a lot of shit. He's not going to take shit from Marjorie Taylor Greene, but you know, as far as active corruption, it's hard to see anything more than the baseline normal level of corruption of just being in that position affords you, I guess.
He joined the board of Burisma Holdings in April 2014.
April 2014. So like, so if anything, perhaps we could say that a company in Ukraine, I don't remember when the Little Green Men and all that stuff took place in Ukraine, actually but it was 2014 when they took over Crimea and stuff,
yes,
right? And
right.
the parts of the Donbass or whatever.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So whether that was before or after he was on the board or not, again, yeah, I don't know. If anybody made Ukraine political, it was certainly Trump. This could have been a bipartisan thing. We could have, Democrats and the Republicans alike both had a policy of not allowing it to be invaded by the Russians, but
that was February 2014 was when that was.
Okay, so it was shortly after that. So
2 months after that, yes.
So if anything, we could say maybe a powerful, company in Ukraine was trying to take advantage of the fact that this guy's father is the vice president under Obama at that time, and they'd like to have close relationships to protect themselves from this ongoing invasion that's happening from Russia at that time. Mm-hmm. So, and to the degree that worked or not, people could say, well, look what happened, but we don't know what happened. Money didn't, I don't know. It's unclear to me that Joe Biden's policy would have been any different if no money had gone to his son from this company. So,
right.
It's unclear. It's really unclear why the Democratic position would have been different otherwise. So, yeah. But for that.
Yeah. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, he does seem like a pretty chill guy, and he didn't seem like the caricature had been painted of him,
Yeah, and also I think this is a guy who, unlike Kamala Harris, can go on a podcast with a bro and bro out with a guy and just be chill and be cool and everything and be like a reasonable dude. And
yeah. I think strangely he probably got through to more of those bro-y podcast guys than anyone because, they got to see him speak extemporaneously at length. And talk in a very relatable way about, and other people have said, of course, some of the same things he said about politics and the state of the world. But I think he's probably uniquely qualified because they will actually probably listen to what he has to say. And he is pretty articulate, I thought, on those matters.
Yeah. He did have a little bit of there was a nervous energy to it or something that maybe, I don't know, remnants of his addiction and stuff.
Yeah, but, right.
Trump got a lot of credit for going on Theo Vaughn and talking about, cocaine. So cocaine, what's that like and everything. But now,
yeah, right.
Whatever. But, I think he spoke very well about his trials and tribulations there as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So the interesting thing is, I wonder what his goal with all this is. I mean, maybe he just wants to put his voice out there now that his dad's finally off the stage and be able to have his say and stuff. But the cynical part of me is like, oh, is this a Hunter Biden preparing for his own political life or something? Which
maybe.
I don't want to see him as a president necessarily, unless he's quite a bit different than his dad in some areas.
He does seem very similar in mannerisms to his father. I will say it's uncanny. I mean, he's his son, of course, so why wouldn't he be? But it's very obvious that he is Joe Biden's progeny.
Yeah. I mean, he comes across as a decent guy. Certainly.
Yeah. Oh, he definitely. Yeah, 100%.
So yeah. Well, anyways, okay. Moving along from Hunter Biden because obviously we don't want that to be the only topic today, of course.
Yeah, people should go watch that if they haven't seen it. I posted a link to it here just a minute ago. So
yeah, and one last thing about it is the thing with the Callahan guy. It's like I feel like there's a genuine friendship developing there. I don't feel like this is a cynical, like you've got a platform, I'm gonna use you to rehabilitate myself, and then I'll never talk to you again. It's
Yeah.
like there's clearly an ongoing dialogue with these two going on, and it's very friendly, I think. So it's kind of a cool thing.
Well, I think that's kind of his whole shtick is, well, it's not really a shtick, it's just a technique. He's just very, to almost to like, I wish he would take a stand about certain things more often, where
Hmm.
he's like committed to this, like, just being a blank slate for whoever he's talking to. And he doesn't have any impulse to
Push back.
necessarily push them or fact check them or ask them any follow up questions. He really just lets people run. And I think that's very useful. He gets great stuff out of people. And I respect him as an interviewer in that way. But the, the journalistic instincts in me want him to, like, push back sometimes, when Hunter Biden's talking about, something that, he could be like easily challenged on,
Mhm.
during that interview. He just lets him go, and it's fine because we get to hear some very interesting stuff from Hunter Biden. But it also kind of goes like we never get to hear the, well, but what about you said this, but what, in reality, that's not the way it is, or well, what do you think about this counter idea that has some merit? How would you go with that? There's not that much of that for my taste. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I do think like a lot of the other stuff though we can hear anywhere else. Anywhere else anybody else is
True.
talking about
Yeah.
Hunter Biden, we can
Yeah,
hear people
absolutely. No, that's why it's so refreshing because he does let him just go, and you've never heard Hunter Biden just talk for this long, like I said. So,
in his own words. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah, Hunter Biden is kind of like he's something of a badass. Like when they were trying to do the whole thing, and then he just walked into Congress one day and said, "I'll testify right now. Anybody wants to ask me a question or something." And then the Republicans were all beside themselves about, "Oh, well, we really never," or whatever they were.
yeah, because
The
they don't
guy,
want to do it on camera, right?
yeah, they don't want to do it publicly. They want it to be behind closed doors so they can say he said whatever they want to. They want to pick and choose. So, I mean, the guy, he's got balls. So,
hmm Definitely.
yeah. All right. Well, okay, we got to get off Hunter Biden. So, although he's imminently, he's imminently discussable.
Absolutely, and I'm sure he'll keep. Apparently, he's just going to keep producing videos with Andrew Callahan for the rest of time now. So,
Yeah, more power to him on that front. So,
yeah,
yeah.
stay tuned. But yeah, what else is going on in the world?
Well, I think there's the Epstein thing and there's the
Yeah,
Israel Palestine thing.
sure.
Have you have you been following Israel Palestine at all?
I know that the humanitarian crisis continues to get worse. I know that the starvation is in effect. I know journalists have been killed, but what's new on any of those fronts? You know what I mean? Like it's particularly bad now, but it's been bad for a while.
Well,
Um,
I mean, I think it probably I don't remember when they passed the point of having killed more journalists in this conflict than in any other conflict in recorded history,
yeah,
basically.
like I
But
mean,
it might have been 6 months ago. It might have been a year
I
ago. But
know.
suddenly everybody's up in arms over this one Palestinian guy and his crew that got killed. And of
Yeah.
course, now I saw the IDF or Israel or whatever says in the New York Post that this guy had been responsible for holding a one of the hostages' families in his house or something some time ago or something. It's like, okay, where's the evidence? Number one, I don't believe you. Number two, where's the evidence?
hmm
Number three, did you get the people back? Like, okay, you say this guy was holding the. Okay, did you do a targeted thing where you went in and you got the hostages back, the three hostages he was allegedly holding himself? They've been lying about just about everything, so it's just whatever. But I don't know. I've seen people coming around on this issue who have never gone against the Likud party line, basically. So I think
Right.
that's been it's too little, too late, but it's like better late than never too. So,
Definitely. 100%.
but
But it's just like we were saying, it's just so obvious, how bad it's gotten that, even people that aren't tapped into it are getting the message, I guess. So I don't know where
yeah,
it goes from here, frankly, but
yeah, and I mean I think the turning point seems to have been the starving children, but it's like Well, I mean, yeah, children are starving now, and that's terrible. But like,
Children have
it
been
doesn't have
starving
to.
in Palestine for a while, I feel like, right?
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, they've put them on a diet. They've talked about putting the Gaza population on a diet before this whole thing even started.
Yeah,
This has
right.
always been a thing there, and I don't, there's this idea that if it happens to elderly or women or children, then it's uniquely bad. And it's like, how about just killing any civilians is bad? Like, what, even if
Yeah.
they're military aged males, they have a right to life in their own territory. My God, like,
Yeah, right.
there's this idea that now it's terrible, now it's inexcusable, now we need whatever. But I don't know. Anyways, it's nice that the American people seem to have changed on this, and even MAGA is noticing it. I think there are people in MAGA, like you said, what's his name, Tucker Carlson and stuff, which
Yeah.
I don't know where he's what philosophy he's coming at this from, whether
Yeah.
it's there's obviously anti-Semitic elements within the Republican Party and stuff. So
Yeah,
I
I don't,
you
I
know
don't, I
and
don't hate myself enough to actually listen to any Tucker Carlson videos on YouTube. But yeah, well,
well,
if you want to bridge into Epstein, he and also MTG are on the case with Epstein too. What's going
y-
on here? What's going on here on two of the more important issues of the day, where we find our make we find ourselves in a foxhole with none other than
I think we have like I don't know, maybe the whole Trump thing has radicalized me to the point where I no longer see the benefits of some of our legal protections for citizens and so forth. But like the thing is, I think what you need to do is you need to take everybody who was working the prison that ward or whatever that night, throw them all in jail, and start saying, okay, start talking. You
yeah,
know, like, were you guys criminally incompetent or something else?
yeah,
You know, like, either way, you belong in jail. Like, I mean, to be that criminally incompetent that you weren't doing rounds,
yeah.
the
How do you let
CCTV
this
wasn't
happen?
working,
How do you let this happen? This is like the most
and
important prisoner probably in the entire country at that point.
yeah, and even if it was an honest mistake and they were just incompetent, it's like, okay, well, you were criminally incompetent at a point where the worst possible thing that could have possibly happened here did happen. And so now there's going to be some consequences. You're going to jail. Like, I'm sorry. Like, this is whether you intended this to happen or not. It was criminal incompetence that led to it, and there has to be consequences, right? Like, so I don't know. I think that there needs to be people in the next Democratic administration who are going to say, look, okay, people are going to jail until we get some answers here because what we're seeing doesn't add up, and it looks like it could be a
Yeah.
lot worse than
And like
what
on the
people are saying it
video
is.
that they released, there's like several minutes missing from the footage, and they've like proven this with like forensic like data timestamp, data from the video, and yeah, it's not the math ain't mathin'. Something
Yeah, yeah.
ain't working here.
And like, and what would it mean if we have a criminal president who is assassinating people in prisons in our country? Like,
Yeah,
think about like what kind of country do you imagine that happens in normally? Like, that's not.
not a
Ain't that
working not a
America?
yeah, right, not a working democracy. Um,
Yeah.
But
So
yeah, we'll see where this goes. I mean, I feel like it isn't going away. It's only getting bigger, it seems like, right? I don't see this going away.
yeah, and the defenses of Trump don't even really make sense. It's like,
No. What what
I
is
mean,
what are they? What can you even say?
he admits that he knew. I mean, like, he did the interview or whatever in 2002 or whatever, that he likes women, and some say, like me, he likes young women, and
I
even he
know.
likes them young. And it's like, okay, so what's the defense there? He knew that this guy was a scumbag child molester at the time. Um, and I know they all think that like he's breaking the deep state and he's going to reveal it all one day, and everybody's going to be arrested in one fell
Yeah,
swoop, and
I know.
all this QAnon crap. But it's like, no, the guy is known since 2002, and then he says that he and Jeffrey stopped being friends because he was stealing the help. Stealing them for what? Like, why
Yeah.
do you care? You like have no loyalty to the people who work for you, documentedly, right? Like you fire people, hire people all the time for no reason, and you know, don't pay people who work for you. So why do you give a shit about this like 16-year-old, 14-year-old, whatever she was? Like, number one, why is she working in this area of
Yeah, wait
your
a second. Why is
establishment?
she there to be quote unquote stolen
Yeah.
at that age?
And yeah, and why? And number two, you were still friends with the guy for like 3 or 4 years after this thing happened, allegedly. So, the other thing is, people like Michael Wolff are saying no, the fallout was actually over a real estate deal where Trump wanted to buy some property somewhere, but Jeffrey Epstein also wanted to buy it, and they bid each other. They were outbidding against each other or something, and somehow I forget which one of them ended up buying it. I think Epstein maybe bought it, but or he made Trump buy it at a much increased price or something like that. So apparently that was chronologically, based on the time frame of their friendship, it seems that that's the more realistic thing.
Hmm.
And also, like, Trump holding a party where he holds a party with like 30 young women models or whatever, and the only male who's invited to the party is Jeffrey Epstein. So Trump and
Hmm.
Epstein and like 30 young women. Like, the idea that Trump was not absolutely in the thick of all this crap with this guy, it just, it beggars belief. And
Right.
so
I know.
yeah.
Well, and then lest we forget, Trump's labor secretary was the one that uh, was his labor secretary. Somebody,
In the
one of
first administration.
in his first, yeah, some cabinet member in his first administration was the one that arranged for the original sweetheart deal with Epstein.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, was that a payoff in kind or something, or like
Right.
a
Yeah.
like, hey, don't talk about what really happened there.
And don't forget the involvement of Trump ally Dershowitz.
Yeah, yeah. Who's been credibly
Yep.
accused, and I think he sued the pants off the girl who accused him or whatever, and she, isn't talking about it anymore. But like, yeah, that guy's been on the wrong side of issues going back to
Oh
like
my
O.J.
gosh.
Simpson. So
Woo.
it's just
Tell
like,
this string of losses for humanity for him.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Dershowitz is almost undoubtedly a scumbag. So
Oh yeah. There's a great video of him because he like plagiarized this book. I want to get this right because he was on Democracy Now with a guy who either he plagiarized from or had something. Hold on, let me find this. It was a good one. He just goes through his book and was like, you copied, yeah, Norman Finkelstein.
oh, Norm Finkelstein, and okay,
Yeah,
yeah, I know him. Yeah, he's been doing some good arguing.
yeah, he
He
did.
argued
He had
against.
yeah numerous factual errors in his book. It's pretty. Yeah, I'll post a link of it, but it's pretty incredible. People should go back and watch that.
Okay.
He
Yeah,
just
yeah.
dismantles his book about Israel.
Okay, yeah. Well, he's been arguing with various people, including Destiny at one point.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, he and another guy versus Destiny and another guy on Israel Palestine and stuff. And he just it was very funny. He kept calling Destiny by his real name, like I forget, I forgot his name. God, I don't know. Anyways, it's worth watching. So yeah, yeah, he's been an interesting character in a lot of things, and I suspect there's some areas that I might not. I imagine that to some degree he's one of these kind of America never does anything right kind of people and stuff, and
Yeah.
probably isn't great on Ukraine and stuff. I imagine, but on Israel Palestine he's been good. So yeah,
Who are you talking about?
Norm Finkelstein.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I like him for the most part.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it boggles the mind the number of things you have to not be aware of or ignore to consider that Trump is not, neck deep in the
Yeah.
Epstein crap. So,
And it's like you're not going to be able to. I know that they've like haven't they subpoenaed Bill Clinton already?
Yeah,
Then
I
the
think Bill and Hillary have both been subpoenaed,
yeah,
I believe.
right. So they're going to try to like turn it around like they always do, but it's not going to work, right? Because it doesn't change the fact that Trump is still implicated here. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't stop being culpable for whatever his involvement was just because you've drawn more people in. Yes, there are a lot of people there, and he was one of them still, so it doesn't change anything actually.
Yeah. And I thought one interesting thing when the birthday card for his 50th birthday came out, and he said, "I didn't write that. I don't draw pictures or whatever. I don't write pictures or whatever he said." And it was like, and they also released like multiple other birthday cards from multiple other people, and they're like, "Yeah, it was 2003 or whatever. He had not been convicted of any crimes at that point. I was unaware of anything like that, and yes, I sent him a birthday card." At Ghislaine Maxwell's, request or whatever. And Trump is the only one who's come out there and said, "No, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. We were friends at that point, but I didn't send him a birthday card and I didn't draw a picture and da 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 da." And people are trying to say, well, maybe he didn't. Maybe he had somebody else do it for him, but he didn't do it himself. And it's like, no, this was very personal. It's very clearly kind of like inside jokey, whatever they're talking about.
Yeah,
And even the
exactly.
thing like enigmas don't age. What are they talking about there? Are they talking about young women that they're fucking, or are they talking about, is it a double entendre because this guy's turning 50 and he's not aging, or why? I don't know. I don't know how you're meant to
it
read that
it
exactly.
means something, and whatever it is isn't good. Like it's like
Yeah,
I
there's
can't, yeah, I can't prove it in a court of law just based on that, but I think we all know that there's no reason he would write that for nothing. Like that means something, and whatever it means, we gotta assume isn't savory.
yeah. So yeah, yeah. Anyways, sorry, I'm losing my at certain points. It's just like, yeah, I lose my ability to speak in a way that is coherent about some of this crazy, like, it's just so obviously,
I know.
diabolical. It's
Well,
just like,
and that's the other thing I think is so interesting about all this is that I've been convinced that Trump is 110% guilty of everything you think he's involved with this case, but it's like everyone's waiting on some big revelation, like more than all the already what we know.
yeah,
Like it's incredible. Like what if the things that were done in public were just private and then came out, it would seem like so scandalous. But because it's been so out in the open, there's like videos and pictures and like documentation and this and that. It just goes on and on and on. And it's like if that stuff was secret and then suddenly spilled out, it would be like, oh my gosh, look at all this. But it's like he's been doing this in public for so long, people are inoculated almost to it. You know what I mean? Like it's like you can't you can't make it a scandal if it's like in your face all the time to a degree. You know what I mean? Like what more do you need to know? Like how many details do you need about what he did to like believe that this is probably what happened? You know?
yeah,
Like
yeah. I think, and that's been Trump's great superpower, has been the utter, you know, narcissistic, psychopathic, sociopathic shamelessness of it all. And that's the reason. Again, I think that the MAGA is going to have a really hard time replacing him, because you can't find your everyday politician who's built like this, right? Like psychologically, who's just like, yeah, I did that shit, but it was good that I did it. It was smart that I did it. And actually, you know what? Fuck you. It's just like you really can't find that attitude, and people who try to fake that attitude can't really pull it off. So
I know that humanity part of them draws them back, and others just are not. They don't have it in them, so they don't pretend like they do. And I don't. I think people get thrown off balance by that. You know what I mean? That kind of like shamelessness because they're just not used to it.
yeah, yeah, I think like I don't know. I think like America needs another. I don't know. another, like a kind of like a reformation, or a, we need to reestablish the country in a way. Like, I think that, we have, maybe we have too many laws. I know as a good Democrat, we're not supposed to say that, but it's like, when you talk about, for example, the Ezra Klein, his book, what am I talking about? You know what I'm saying? The thing where he's saying like there's too much regulation that is stopping people from doing things that they want to do, as far as like establishing businesses or building housing in California or New York, places that need it to address some of the economic stuff. And I think that that's probably true. I think there was, a time probably in the 60s, 70s, and 80s when we needed environmental regulations in a way. And I think we still need environmental regulations, but like at a certain point, sometimes these things do become just a, a vote of no confidence from the moneyed interest in an area, saying, no, we're not going to have low income housing development go up in our area that's going to affect our land prices or whatever. It's just like at a certain point, I don't know. And the other thing is, I think that, like, the protections for those accused of crimes have gone to a point where it's just like, unless the person admits it, and how do you get them to admit it, and how do you prove that they did it? And it's just like there's so many protections for people that like, the thing is, like, again, like I said, with the people who were on duty the night Epstein died, I'd say throw everybody in jail. you know Lawyers say, look, start talking, and you're going to be in jail until you start talking. And there's nobody going to come in here and get you out. There's no lawyer that's going to come and tell you, hey, the president says if you just stay strong, then he'll look out for you on the other side or something. Again, that's what the lawyers are probably doing. Maybe I watched too many TV shows or something, but like you do get this sense that, like, there's a conspiracy to just, have people hold the line, stay strong, don't tell the truth, where it would hurt somebody who's in power. And I don't know. I think also the thing with the Trump stuff, it's just like so many of these Trump people, they know that they can break the law, and then they can get a lawyer and they can protect themselves, and then they'll be pardoned by the president, and the Supreme Court's probably on their side anyways. And it's just like, what do we have laws for? We have laws, at the most basic level, to prevent people from doing horrible things. And that's not working right now. The wealthy are getting away with doing horrible things. The wealthy and powerful and connected, some of the most horrible things imaginable, as far as what they're doing with the Epstein stuff. And the law, if anything, seems to be protecting them, right? It's like, well, he's accused, but he hasn't been convicted. Or nobody's admitted it, or somebody else said that he didn't do it, or whatever the situation is. It's just like, at a certain point, why don't we just say, okay, these people are bad for society, they aren't doing anything good for society, their freedom or their immunity from consequences is a nightmare for society. And at a certain point, it's just like, I think the laws we have in this country are basically just protecting, they're not protecting what they're supposed to be protecting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like people are being able to do bad things. To some degree, I think there was an admission by the government, a kind of a tacit admission anyways, that like, to some degree, America doesn't even really believe in these laws in a way, which is to say that, like, when the chips were down, post 9/11 and everything, we said, well, we can't really put these terrorist criminals into regular jails and give them lawyers and give them all this stuff. And it's like, okay, well, why not? Well, the reason was because, like, some of them will get off, right? Well, that's how our justice system's supposed to work. If people can't prove that they did what they said that they did, then, they should get off or whatever. But it's like, we all know that there's a problem with, the wealthy in society, right? Like having access to the best lawyers who can get, even the most obviously guilty people off on technicalities and stuff. And it's yeah. Anyways, I think that it's just not a good way to do things, in that, people are getting away with too much in society that is leading to this distrust, the deep state and so forth, whatever you want to call it. Like it's basically this idea that the wealthy and the privileged get away with too much because of, their access to this kind of superior justice or whatever, I don't know. You see what I'm saying though? Like,
Yeah.
I know it's kind of an un-American approach to take to things, but it's like, I think what the MAGA thing should have taught us by now is that America doesn't really work for millions of people. It's not working for people in the way that it's meant to, right? So that's kind
Right.
of,
Definitely. It's
yeah,
definitely a broken system for sure.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I think that there are more areas that I had intended it to cover and to talk about, but I don't know. It's hard to think of. It's kind of a holistic view that I haven't fully articulated yet. But I don't know. Like, what's the Yarvin guy or whatever his name is? Curtis Yarvin or whoever.
Mm.
He's very anti-American in certain ways, but I do think there may be a bit of truth in something that he's pointed out, which is that, you know, some things don't work like it's the way it's supposed to work or whatever.
Hmm.
So anyways, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. What were you thinking then? The God, I'm trying to think like the okay. We've done a little bit of Israel, Palestine. We've done a little bit of I don't know, various things, I guess.
Yeah, we did
Have you
Hunter Biden, Jeffrey Epstein, Gaza.
have you been following the blowout with MTG and what's the other woman's name? The woman who looks like that guy from those the torture porn movies. Uh,
What?
Riddler, not Riddler. What's his name?
For the Saw
Uh,
Are you talking about the Saw movies?
yeah. What's the bad guy's name in those?
Jigsaw?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Jigsaw. The woman who looks like Jigsaw is in
Woman
MAGA.
who looked like I don't know that person. Who's that?
Boy, one of these days, if I get good with names, it's all over for everybody.
That's
Like,
right.
I'm just gonna,
You're all in trouble.
yeah. What's her name? She was the one. She handcuffed her to the entrance to the Twitter.
Oh, Laura Loomer?
Laura Loomer. Yeah, have you been following the
No.
Laura Loomer MTG thing?
No, what's going on there? I'm afraid to ask.
And I'm afraid to say, it's
Oh no.
nasty.
Ugh.
Um, what can we say? Well, there's no nice way to go about this, but they've had a major falling out. Basically, MTG has said that Laura Loomer is um, not America first. She's Israel first, and she's manipulating Trump into being pro-Israel and everything, and so on and so forth. And Laura Loomer has said that MTG has Arby's in her pants.
Oh no. That
Oh
is
yeah,
not an image I wanted.
yeah. That's. There's no
Oh
nice way to
boy.
say it, but like these two have been
Goodness
going at each other.
gracious.
Yeah, it's not pretty. So,
Oh
and
boy.
apparently,
Nobody wins when the MAGA family fights, am I right?
well, they had Laura Loomer under oath, and apparently, like a lawyer was trying to like get her to say exactly what she meant. She's like, "What did you mean when you said she has Arby's in her pants?" She said, "I literally. Did you mean she literally puts Arby's sandwiches in her pants?" She's like, "Yes, that's what I've heard. People have told me this or something. And she likes Arby's. She puts it in her pants or something."
Oh my
And
God.
and they're like, and the law, every again, this is a problem with lawyers in America is like they have to take everything that's said at face value, even though everybody knows exactly what they mean. But we have to. Can you confirm that what you were making a filthy joke about her genitalia? No, I just meant, that she put sandwiches in her pants. That's all I meant. Oh, well, you know, unless I can get you to admit something that's not what you meant, then I guess I have to take it that that's what you meant, like literally. So, and also apparently some of the lesser MAGA women have been fighting also. Apparently, this one racist woman was getting married. She posted a ring or something, and somebody else posted that, oh, that ring's not very good, and yada, 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 and you're a skank anyways. And then um, one of what's her name? The trad wife girl. I forget her name. Not
There's
unattractive trad wife supporting
there's
anti-feminist.
there's so many trad wives out there. You should ask Ash about the trad wives. She knows all about them. She's
You guys in your household, you're running a biblically
oh, of
traditional.
course,
Uh-huh.
definitely. Right. No, she just is very aware of the YouTube trad wife culture, at least like the commentary around it. I don't think she like watches any of these people, but I think she's very aware of like she watches videos of people commenting on the trad wives.
Yeah. Yeah. Hold on. Let me see.
So,
MAGA women fighting. Let me see if I can figure out who. Oh, it's a
well,
bunch of.
there's so many. Shaw. How are you ever going to find the one you're looking for?
Well, there's no. That's true. There's a whole bunch of YouTube clips and da
Yep.
da da on an airplane. Yada yada yada. Hold on. I'm trying to. Man, Google. I don't want to switch to Google as a downloadable product. I want to just use the
Wow.
Google in my. Okay. No, Pearly MAGA. Is it
I don't know that one.
just Pearly Things? She's one of them who's been involved. She's pretty notorious. Yeah, they
Oh,
were casting aspersions on each other about
oh
some,
no.
you sleep with married MAGA men, yada yada yada, out of wedlock and all this stuff, and they were just going like ham on each other. It was wild. So that was a thing, and then of course Laura Loomer and MTG also got in on the action against each other. So
Wow.
yeah, a lot of women drama in MAGA right now for some
My
reason.
gosh. I thought these were supposed to be like the family oriented people or whatever.
Well, they're trying to be, but it seems like none of them can keep it in their pants or stop miscegenating, I guess, which is a problem for them.
Oh no.
So yeah, this is our country. This is the politics of our country these days,
Wow.
and it's
Okay.
maddening to watch it happening amongst like Gen Z too, right? Like I don't know, what do you think about the generation stuff that's going on now? It seems like as millennials, as elder millennials that we are, it
Yeah.
seems like we were kind of in the, like a lot of the people who I've mentioned before, I think like, when I was a kid in the 90s or whatever, and I saw all these cool like movies with the Gen Xers and stuff, and they're so counterculture and they're hackers and they're edgy and everything. And I was like, oh man, these guys are so cool. I wish I was a Gen X, but I'm not and everything. But it seems like nowadays, like Gen X has really gone hard MAGA for the most part. So
All
it's just kind
right.
of like, and it's like Gen Z is going like MAGA curious or MAGA adjacent to some degree too. And it's just
I
like
know, right?
we were,
Millennials, the last like
we,
bastion.
yeah, we may have been the, I don't want to say the perfect generation, but we were the generation that was, well positioned to see the bullshit and stay mad about the bullshit in a
Yeah,
way that Gen X has not, I think. And
it's a great point.
Gen Z, having seemingly grown up under the Trump administration, to them, I mean, to some degree, they just think it's normal because this is all they've
Exactly.
ever known.
They
So
don't
it's,
know. Well, in many ways it's kind of the way that we are the bridge generation in terms of like we had a very analog childhood up to a certain degree and then we emerged into a digital adulthood.
yeah.
Whereas, I mean, my kids think every screen that my kids see, they assume is a touchscreen.
Hmm.
I did not assume every screen that I ever saw when I was growing up was a touchscreen. I didn't think any of them were. I thought I saw one once and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting," boop, but like they like will go up to like the TV, my computer. They think because I mean they see our iPads and phones and everything, and everybody else they know has an iPad and a phone and all this, tablets and everything else. So it's
Hmm.
like just that is like so different and we did not grow up in that world. We grew up in and more. I mean, it wasn't completely analog because I mean, obviously, I had a computer of some kind when I was a kid, but it wasn't like anything like today, you know.
Yeah, my family, we didn't really get a computer till I was in high school.
Mm.
And actually, my family was like really, my parents were really kind of like anti-tech, or they wanted us to grow up in nature for the most part and everything. And so we didn't really have a TV until, I don't know, I was probably an elder child or something to some degree, and like, or I was getting older as a child, and we got a TV, but then my family, we didn't, we were living at the base of a mountain in North Carolina in a valley, and we didn't get any reception for any channels. And so after, we got a TV because my grandparents had bought it for us, apparently. So, and then we didn't use the TV because we couldn't, because my parents didn't have any, we never had cable or anything like that. And so then my grandparents got us a VCR as well. And so at that point, we could go to the local movie places and like rent stuff, which was cool. So that was really where I even, became involved with tech as far as watching things or screens or whatever, what have you, and stuff. And like I said, then getting a PC when I was in high school and stuff. So that was when I got into that. And of course, I was on Napster. I was downloading music and stuff that was kind of like where I got started with that and everything. And but college was the point at which I really got into having cable to some degree. Like in my freshman year dorm, like there was the whatever the IU cable TV that they had on, which was really weird to me because, like, on the one hand, I'm meant to be studying more and harder than I ever have in my life, and on the other hand, I have this massive thing that can distract me at any time, and it just plays the same movies over and over and over again at random times for an entire week before it's on to the next movie or whatever. Which even seems antiquated today because now it's all on demand and you can just, whenever you want, you can start the movie. And so it's, yeah, like, so I was even like less tapped into the tech and stuff back in the 90s for the most part. So,
Hmm. But
but
anyway,
yeah,
yeah, it's
so
just
yeah, so
it's a digital first. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. So I do think it's nice and interesting that we have gotten both sides of that as far as being relatively low tech in our youth, and then
Yeah,
coming into it once we came to. I do thank God in a way that uh, that there was no Facebook in high
social
school. I
media.
can't
Yeah.
imagine
Oh,
what kind of
terrible,
cringe shit I would have
terrible.
been in back then.
Oh,
So
yeah, so
who
bad.
knows what I would have said. So
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was thankfully no evidence exists of me in high school for the most part. Like I was looking through like pictures and stuff and I have probably like 20 pictures from college, 20 pictures or so from pictures from high school maybe.
hmm
Possibly, no, maybe not even that much. You know what I mean? It's like every 3 months it'd be like, okay, I'll take a picture of this thing. You know,
yeah,
like
yeah,
now I have like I cleared off my phone a couple months ago and it's like groaning under the weight of the pictures and videos I've taken and I need to clear it off again. It's like,
yeah. I think I've got like, I don't know, 50 gigs or something of photos
oh
mostly in
man,
my on my phone. And
my
yeah, I
gosh.
should do something with them, but yeah, yeah, but again, it's you can't, young people can't conceptualize it really.
No.
So but yeah, I do think about that sometimes. I worry about the future because we have these younger generations who don't really give a shit, right? Like they don't, yeah, oh yeah, Trump's kind of cringe, sure, okay, yeah, 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 but like, so is Hillary or whatever, and yada yada. It's just like there's a very blasé attitude about politics for a lot of them, it seems like. And I'm sure there are exceptions and there are some people who are whatever, but I do worry generationally what's going to happen. So
Yeah, usually people get more conservative when they're older. I feel like when people are conservative still in their young adulthood, it's like, "Oy," that seems like Hitler Youth or like whatever.
yeah, well, Kyle Kalinske did a video the other day where he pointed out that Trump is defunding PBS and all
Yeah.
that stuff, and they want to use government money or something, or somehow they want to put what's the PragerU?
Oh
They
no.
they want to put PragerU on television for
Oh
children's
no.
education. It's just like if you
No,
think about
no,
this,
no.
we're getting rid. I mean, like again,
Unbelievable.
this is another thing where it's like there's no law against it, right? Like there's no law against it, but it's so obviously horrifically
Wow.
wrong. But it's just like there's no law that says you can't brainwash children, you know. But like there should be,
Yeah,
right? Like
right.
another thing I think is that America, like I've said before, probably the freedom of speech stuff. I think is we've reached the logical conclusion of how it doesn't work in a way because, like, the thing is, like, okay, let's say I don't know. I'm trying to think about something that's a crime, but it's not like a really harmful crime, and everybody kind of agrees it shouldn't necessarily be like medical marijuana or something like that. That's illegal. But like or like being a member of the cake. Okay, like let's say for example, you support Hamas and you like Hamas and you support Hamas, and the government says you can't do that. That's a terrorist organization that has killed people.
Hmm.
Okay. But if I want to say that I like the KKK in America, that's freedom of speech. That's protected. We don't like it necessarily, but it's totally your freedom. If you want to be that way, you can be that way. There's
Hmm.
no consequence. There's no legal even though, at different points in history, the KKK has absolutely lynched people, committed political violence, burned down entire communities, but like they're kind of grandfathered into the freedom of speech thing, even though they're clearly like a terrorist organization to some degree, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, didn't the ACLU defend the Nazis that were marching in Skokie, Illinois, way back when, right?
yeah, I think so. And I don't know. I think I've had some problems with the ACLU recently. I forget what it was, but yeah, but um, there comes a point at which this knee jerk, well, that's freedom of speech, and we don't like what they say, but by God, we got to let them say. Like, okay, well, if I want to boycott and divest from Israel, is that my constitutionally protected freedom of speech and rights and
Mm,
commerce to do what I want with my own money? No,
not in some
no, you.
places.
Well,
Yeah,
not in a lot of places, and
yeah.
it's not even just something that MAGA supports. That's something that you've got mainstream Democrats supporting, and so it's just like the idea that there is freedom of speech, that we have it, doesn't even really hold water because there's a lot of cases like this where it's very selective about who gets freedom of speech, whose speech is protected, what speech is beyond the pale and can't be countenanced, right? Um, so I think like and like the thing is also like places like and there's problems in Germany maybe, but like there is a far right in Germany and so forth. But like being an open Nazi is illegal. And yet at the same time, aside from that point, there's no other great, you know, injustices regarding freedom of speech in Germany that I'm aware of. They just said, hey, this is a red line. You can't do this. And if we find that you have, and it's going to be like that, right? Like, and okay, what's the downside of that? I haven't heard a convincing argument that there is a downside. But in America, we always pretend it's a slippery slope. And well, you say no Nazis, but then next time, what if they would say like, well, what if you supported, you know, what if you supported the Palestinians, but then people said you were anti-Semitic, and so it's illegal for you to say it. It's like, how about we cross that bridge when we come to it and we take it on a case by case basis? But this thing where even liberals are protecting Nazi speech, basically, it doesn't work. It hasn't worked. It's led to a bad outcome, right? Like I think so.
It would be nice if we were rowing in the same direction. The problem is that a lot of people don't want to live in the same country that we might like to, and they want it to be something very different, and they want it to be, theocracy or whatever. So I don't want to live in that world. So unless we can agree on that, I think it'll be hard to find unity because these people have become so radicalized.
Yeah, but
Anything is it's all fair because the ends justify the means, right?
yeah, yeah. Well, but also I think yeah, even with the stuff of living a theocracy, like they think it's debatable, and they think, well, the actually though the founding fathers were all Christians, and da 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 da. Da.
Oh boy.
But like actually, if you study what they were believing and what they wanted and why they wanted it a certain way, and their awareness and familiarity with Islam and stuff like that, like it's again. historians can answer these questions, but like, um, if there were good faith, facts based Republicans that we could, you know, work with and say, okay, let's get to the bottom of this. We're going to talk about it. We're going to figure it out. And once we figure it out, it's not going to continue to be a talking point on your side because it's just bullshit. But like, um, you know, I think the founding fathers were very clear about what they wanted, and basically what Trump is doing in many aspects is exactly the opposite of what they would have wanted. And at this point, we basically should be in a revolution at this point, literally, based on what the founding fathers would have thought of this guy. I mean, let alone stuff like, you know, no taxation without representation. And yet, you know, California pays the most taxes or whatever, but like they
Well,
are
I
getting
mean,
occupied by the
Washington
federal government.
D.C. Yeah, well, yeah, and Washington D.C. and Puerto Rico don't have any representation because they're not states. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So, and I think, like, again, I think we need, I think some people are starting to talk about on the Democratic side statehood for some of these places
yeah,
next time. And I think that's a good thing. Like, I mean, I think, yeah, we got to say, like,
especially since Trump is federalizing D.C. So
yeah. And they're saying, well, it's not technically martial law. It's kind of like martial law light. The
okay,
intent and the effect is basically, I don't want protests happening in Washington, D.C. So I'm going to create a police state there, backed up by the militarization of the police with backup from the literal military. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, it's so obviously bad and wrong and goes against everything that America's about that it's just like we should be able to, with good faith, people on the opposite side say this is wrong. We're not going to do this, and we're not going to allow it
yeah.
to happen. So
All right. Well, I hate to stop you there, but it is 3:19 in the morning for me, so I think I'm gonna have to like call it for this one. I don't think I can't go much later. But
okay,
yeah, thank you for taking the time to record, and let's do it again real soon. I definitely think we have more to talk about. Um,
yeah.
but in the last minute that we have, do you have any music recommendations?
Hold on. Let me. Oh man, hold on. Let me pull up my YouTubes because there are several things I've been thinking about recently. Oh God, what have I been hearing recently? Or oh, hold on. Let me actually. I can pull up my Shazam. I think that might be the faster way to find some of these things. Uh, let's see. You may have to edit this. Let's see. Um, I recently heard some early '90s stuff at a Texas Hold'em pub over in Korea, including US3 Cantaloupe, Flip Fantasia. You may remember that one from the early '90s.
Mm.
Um, Michael Jackson's Human Nature, which is a song that had always kind of been in the back of my mind, but I didn't realize the name of it was Human Nature, which I'm aware of, or that it was by Michael Jackson. That was another one. Um, God, hold on. There was another one. There's a song called Chromeo, New Girl, it's called, with in parentheses before that, I don't need a. So I don't need a new girl.
Oh, Chromeo, I know Chromeo.